Hello and welcome to Rock Records Reviewed. In this installment, I will be ranking and reviewing all 15 studio albums by the rock band Queen. Yes, I know the t-shirt could have done with an iron, but I don't have an ironing board. All Queen albums have got something going for them, not least at least one great song. But some albums are better than others. So without further ado, let's begin. At number 15, I have put Flash Gordon, the soundtrack to the enjoyably cheesy and camp 1980 film starring Brian Blessed and Timothy Dalton, amongst others. It's got Flash on it and The Hero, which is a great song they used to open some shows with. But apart from that, it's all fairly incidental and soundtracky, so it's kind of an easy one to put in last place. At number 14 from 1995 is Made in Heaven. This is the album they made 4 years after Freddie died, using outtakes and bits of old songs and even a couple of songs from other members' solo albums. It feels a bit manufactured and Pro Toolsy to me. There are some good songs on it, not least Mother Love, which is, I believe, the last thing Freddie ever recorded, which is beautiful. But again, it's not really a proper Queen album that they all made together in the studio. At number 13 from 1989, The Miracle. This is an enjoyable record. There's a sense of fun all the way through this album. But it's the first album they made with joint writing credits, contrary to what the film tells you. And it has got I Want It All on it, which was the big single. But it jumps around stylistically too much, even for a Queen record, I think. And it doesn't hang together, and there's no real central theme or core to it. And because of that, I feel it's easy to place it a bit lower down in the list. At number 12 from 1986, A Kind of Magic. A lot of people love this record. It's got some killer singles on it, not least A Kind of Magic and One Vision and Who Wants to Live Forever. But I find some of the other stuff on the record a little bit clunky. A lot of their later rock songs I found a bit forced and heavy-handed. And Princes of the Universe, I think, is a good example of that. Brian's playing is great. His pop playing is just as good as his rock playing, and I think he's one of the best guitarists who has a foot in both of those camps. There's a sense of fun on the record, but I just think there's a bit of filler on there too. Number 11, I have put Hot Space. Now, this is a record that I know divides Queen fans. I love it. I've got very happy memories of this record, but I think some of the experimental dancey and disco stuff was just a bit too much for certain markets to take. It's got Under Pressure on it, which is absolutely one of the best things they ever did, with David Bowie, of course, who will be the subject of a future post. But what can I say? I love this record, and people have a go at me for loving it. But on another day, I could put it even higher, but I do recognise that a lot of you don't like it. So number 11, I think, is a fair place for it in this list. Number 10, The Game from 1980. Again, just killer singles. Another One Bites the Dust, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Play the Game is a good song. But this record sounds a little bit lightweight, and there's a lot of filler on this one, I think. There's no bad songs, but there are a lot of songs which are not that good, and it just is not a very filling meal. The production, I think, is a little bit whimsy as well on the songs that aren't the singles. In ninth place, Innuendo, which is, I think, a completely different record to the one I've just talked about. This is a dense, hearty meal of music. There's a sense of foreboding in this record. It's the last one they made while Freddie was alive. And it drips with Baroque drama, not least on songs like The Show Must Go On. I think it's a bit overlong. And it starts with Innuendo, which is, so is it a Queen classic, a Queen epic? I don't know. But it got to number 1 and they did okay with it. But it's a little bit heavy-handed for me. At number 8, The Works. I love this record. 1984 it came out, and this after the misstep of Hot Space, this really put Queen back in the public eye, not least again because of huge hit singles. I Want to Break Free, Radio Gaga, fantastic videos as well, in the age when videos was starting to become very popular. There's a great sense of technology on this record, and I think it's one of the few records that combines the technology of the time with the classic rock sound, and I think that comes through in the songs as well, like Machines or Back to Humans, which is a real great Queen deep cut. Number 7. Now the real controversy begins, because I'm going to put Queen 2 at number 7, and I know a lot of die-hard Queen fans love this record, but for me it's just a bit too proggy. It's dense and it's busy and it leaps around all over the place. There's some brilliant playing, and there's a great song in Seven Seas of Rye, and there's some epic moments, but what can I say, I just don't love it as much as I love some other Queen records, and I know a lot of you will disagree with me. Number 6, another one die-hard Queen fans love, A Day at the Races. Yet again, fantastic singles in Somebody to Love, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. This is a great Freddie record. Freddie's on brilliant form with this record. Listen to his vocals on You Take My Breath Away, years before auto-tune. The composition alone is wonderful, but the vocals are incredible. This would be the best record in many other bands' back catalogues, and it's testament to how great Queen were that it's 6 on my list, because it's a wonderful record. But again, it's one I just haven't warmed to as much as some others. Unlike number 5, which I've placed Queen, their debut album. I think all the Queen trademarks are here on this record. You can absolutely hear the invention, the creativity, the dynamics, the artistry. They're just breaking ground, and at the time they were called Led Zeppelin wannabes, and it was just nonsense. I mean, anybody who's listening with a decent pair of ears can hear that that's absolute rubbish. It's got Keep Yourself Alive on it, which was kind of the single. It didn't really do very well, but it was early days. But people who were listening could hear that all the talent was there, and Queen were just ready to explode. And number 4, we're getting to the big guns now. I've put Jazz. Again, a bit controversial. A lot of people might think that's a little bit high. I mean, how can you not love a record that starts with Mustafa? I mean, it's just a bonkers song. Go and check it out. It's also, of course, got Don't Stop Me Now on it. But I think this album's great because all the other tracks, the deep cuts, I think they're all really good. It's In Only 7 Days, Jealousy, Dead on Time, fantastic guitar playing by Brian. It was a much maligned record when it came out, but I think it stood up very, very well. And as we said, it's got Don't Stop Me Now on it, which is just absolutely, one of the sublime great rock songs of all time. Number 3, News of the World. This was re-released last year to great fanfare for its 40th anniversary, and deservedly so. It's a great record. There's talk that it's kind of punky and stripped back, and you can hear that on Sheer Heart Attack. But really, I think a lot of the Queen trademarks are still there on songs like Spread Your Wings, We Will Rock You, We're the Champions. It's got 2 of the absolute best Queen deep cuts as well in It's Late and My Melancholy Blues, which are absolutely brilliant songs. This is a great record. The artwork's great. The atmosphere on the record is great. So I think it would be very high in any Queen fans list. Number 2, Sheer Heart Attack. This used to be my favourite Queen album. This is dark and exciting, this record, and it's probably Queen's sexiest album as well. Listen to Tenement Funster by Roger, which is the best song I think that Roger ever did with Queen, and She Makes Me, Stormtrooper in Stilettos by Brian. The playing on this album is brilliant. I think it's musically their best album. Roger, Brian and John particularly are in brilliant form. Listen to Brian's incredible guitar solo on Brighton Rock. Listen to John's drumming on the same song. But the whole album all the way through, the playing is absolutely brilliant. Remarkable because Brian was in bed with hepatitis for most of the album and had to come in and do his parts later on. Killer Queen was the big single, but that's just one of many, many delights on a record that really did stamp their identity on the rock landscape. And if you stuck with them from Queen to this point, then you knew you were onto a winner, that this was a band who were absolutely going places. So that brings us to number 1 on the list, and you probably won't be surprised. I wanted so much to be controversial, but I've reassessed this album over and over the years and have come to conclusions that it is their best album. It's of course A Night at the Opera. The album has Bohemian Rhapsody on it. It has Love of My Life. It has You're My Best Friend. But I think that the great thing about this record is just the artistry and the attention to detail they've put into it. This is a band absolutely at the top of their game, and they are just bursting to show the world what they can do. Listen to Brian's jazz guitars on Good Company, how he's overlaid and overdubbed all those. Listen to Freddie's vocal arrangements on Prophet's song. Just absolutely genius what they're doing here. No other band could do this, and it's testament to their talent. So A Night at the Opera is very hard to argue with. There's not really a bad song on it. It moves stylistically all over the place, but it hangs together brilliantly in a way that perhaps maybe an album like The Miracle doesn't. And so that's my rundown. I hope you found it enjoyable and entertaining. I'm sure you disagree with me. If you do, then why don't you put your comments down below, and please keep it clean. Let's keep this a happy and positive music site. I'll be back soon with another rundown. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves, but until then, subscribe, join me again soon for Rock Records Reviewed. Bye.